Hello, hello. It is time to start our gardening class, and it's going to be as much about gardening as being outside. For a lot of us, it's been a winter of being indoors a lot, and getting outside and moving our bodies in ways that we haven't in a few months can be a little bit challenging. And hold on, let me just make sure I have the right internet connection so I don't lose anybody. Yep, there we go. Okay, so it's as much about being outside for the first time after a long winter. This winter it seemed a lot longer, as sharing a few tips. I have been gardening most of my life since I was old enough to stoop down and pull a weed in my mother's garden. So I have lots of experience gardening, and certainly over the past 7 or 8 years with using essential oils and incorporating them into the garden as well. So I think I'll just get started, and as people hop on, or if you're watching the replay, please feel free to ask questions. Let me know where you're from, and if you know, tell me what zone of growing conditions you are. So where I am, we're about an hour north of the city. We are in zone 4B. Hey, Jackie. Hi, I'm happy to have you here. So if anybody's watching and hasn't gotten to know me yet, my name is Julie Balmesberger. And yes, I am a wellness advocate with doTERRA. I have been for almost 7 years now. And that means I get to connect with the right people and help them move forward. And today it's going to be all about gardening. So our family actually has a family farm, and we make non-GMO animal feed. We grow lots and lots in our family garden at home. We have access to a lot of really pure grown food, which is wonderful. And growing flowers is almost as important as growing veggies for me. Some years I'm torn between where I should be sharing my time. So at this time of the year, it's just busy. You triage everything. Jackie, do you have gardens at home? Do you have vegetable gardens or flower gardens? What kind of gardening do you do? So I decided, because I have so much to cover and I wanted to leave a lot of wiggle room for questions. I thought I was just going to kind of wing it. So if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to put them in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, again, just type in #replay and post your question, and I will be answering all of them. When I talk about using essential oils in the garden, as I'm going to, and a little bit about how to use them for ourselves, I'm talking specifically about doTERRA oils. doTERRA is the largest essential oil company in the world for so many good reasons. To me, it's the purity and the potency of the oils. The plants are grown where they grow best. All of our lavender comes from Bulgaria and France. So the soils, as a farmer, I know the importance of soil to make sure that the plants are healthy. Number one, they don't have to use chemicals and pesticides if they're grown where they're happy. And secondly, it means that they're going to have a lot of those chemicals and all of those chemical constituents, we call them, that are going to make them really beneficial. Plant medicine, plants in bottles. Anybody who's ever practiced companion planting in the garden knows that plants have these synergistic effects with each other. I believe it is yarrow or Roman chamomile. I'll have to double check that now. But it is a plant that if you grow it in your garden, it helps all the plants around it grow better as well. I'm pretty sure it's Roman chamomile. I'm just going to look that up quickly while I'm speaking. And when you use Roman chamomile with other oils, it also helps support other things. Let me just see here. No, that is not that. I'm going to look up yarrow palm to see if it's yarrow. It's not Roman chamomile, yarrow. It doesn't really say, but I know it's one of the two. Anyhow, so all the oils that I'm going to be talking about are, zone 3. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is pretty chilly up where you are. Okay, so let's get started right away. So first of all, as I said, and I am going to be sharing lots of awesome recipes. I have fungus spray, I have insect deterrent, ant spray, pest control. So again, maybe just drop in the comments if you're joining in or doing the replay. What kind of pests do you have the most trouble with? What kind of plant problems do you have the most trouble with? But before I get started, I did mention that it's all about moving our bodies for the first time. And after a winter of not doing a lot for many people, And there's so many muscles that we move a lot. Deep blue is in full sight all the time. We're shoveling, we're using our hands. I know when you're pulling things, there's always all these muscles get sore. Deep blue rub is my go-to always. Speaking of hands as well, they get so dry from being in the soil where our natural oils are getting a bit of a kicking. I try to wear gloves whenever I can, but if you're like me, chances are there are some things that you pull your gloves off to get those little weeds to pull that grass sometimes. So my hands do get dry. Now, one of the tips is if you put lotion on your hands before you put your gloves on. Number one, if you do pull your gloves off, you still have hydrated hands. But number two is even if you don't wear gloves, when you get a lotion on and nurturing your skin, the soil and dirt and everything else isn't going to, you're creating that beautiful barrier. So I love using the hand and body lotion. Now this is an old tube. The new tubes are, you can see it on the shelf, it's a nice green color. But this is fabulous. You can even add, actually my hands are dry this morning. You can just take a little dab of the cream. I like to use lavender. It's very calming. And it's also really good for our skin. And then you can just rub it and you can scent your hand cream however, oh my gosh, yes, lavender. You can scent your hand cream however you like. The other product that I love from doTERRA that's so nurturing, another thing is I go barefoot a lot in the summer, pretty much most of the summer. And our body butter is fantastic. I just opened up a second one. It's really rich and creamy. As you can see, again, you only need a little bit. And this is really nice after you have cleaned your hands again. You can use this as a lotion on your hands before you go out into the gardens, before you put your gloves on, but it's great for feet. Oh, and it smells fantastic. The body butter is part of our spa collection. I really highly recommend this. So for hands, definitely both of these. The other thing for gardeners is hands get cuts and scrapes. I have been cleaning our beds out the last few weeks, raking out all the perennials, and we grow a lot of ornamental grasses, and they are thin reeds, and they are sharp. And I often get all these little scrapes and nicks and cuts. And for all of those things, there's nothing like Correct-X. This is, there is another ointment that a lot of people use. You can get it from the drugstore or anywhere else. And it has petroleum products in it, so I don't use that stuff. Correct-X has, I'll just read the ingredients, but it's helichrysum, it has sandalwood, it has frankincense, it has frankincense, helichrysum, cedarwood, tea tree, melaleuca, and lavender. So you just need a teeny weeny little bit of it. And whenever I get a scrape, Ralph loves using this too on the farm. We're always nicking our hands and getting little scrapes. So Correct-X is fantastic. It's well under $20, and this actually goes a long way. So Correct-X is another product that I always have handy for my hands and my feet. One more thing that I find during gardening season, especially in the spring, is and on the farm, there is work everywhere you look. We say in Ukrainian that there's a saying that everywhere you look, you see work. And one of the things that we often need is our energy, right? I take Lifelong Vitality supplements every single day. And that is a part of having lots of vitality and energy, certainly getting all the nutrition your body needs to do all of that. But when it comes to crunch time and I need a little bit of extra boost, I love taking Mito 2 Max. I took one of them this morning. Mito 2 Max is a great way of just, we call it our energy and stamina complex. It's a dietary supplement. And let me just read the ingredients in here. It has a mitochondrial energy cofactor. So it has coenzyme Q10, it has acetylcarnitine, it has an adaptogenic blend that helps you with stress, circulation support, it has fruit extract, green tea, ashwagandha for that extra boost of energy. And all you need to do is take one of these. I like to take them in the morning if I have a busy day, or if you find that you get that afternoon slump, you can take one with your lunch. I don't try to take this too late in the day because, as I said, it does give you energy. And if you find that you have been drinking a lot of coffee lately, I know I'm guilty of that. you're much better off to take the Mito 2 Max. You're not getting those any kind of harmful stimulants, certainly a lot better than the energy drinks. And when all else fails, we have some great oils that are great at stimulating. So spearmint, peppermint to give you focus. Lemon is great for that as well. So for the energy, definitely the Mito 2 Max. I am really fortunate that when I go outside in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, and in the winter doesn't count, but I do not react to any of the pollen. We already have a layer of pollen on our pond that comes from the cedars. So from now for the next month or two, there's going to be a lot of pollen in the air. And there is a large segment of the population that suffers from these kind of sniffles, watery eyes, all of that stuff. And there are 3 oils that are very, very simple at helping deal with that. They act as analgesics, they're antihistamines, they help detox your body gently. And Jackie, you probably know what these are already, but if you're watching the replay, I'll tell you right now. It's lemon, lavender, and peppermint. These 3 together, this is why every household needs to have. If you have any oils in your house, these are 3 that you definitely need to have. You can take 1 or 2 drops of these in a shot glass of water every morning. And if you have a lot of trouble with this kind of seasonal discomfort, I recommend taking a shot glass at night as well. So 1 or 2 drops of each of these. Alternatively, you can make a roller bottle up. So a 10 ml roller bottle, put 2 or 3 drops of each of these, top it up with carrier oil, fractionated coconut oil, put it on the bottoms of your feet morning and night. Or the easiest way, what a lot of people prefer, is just to take the Tri-Ease soft gels. And these are vegetable capsules that have the drops right in them already. So you can just down the hatch and take them like that. Speaking of down the hatch, another important thing about gardening is make sure you stay hydrated. I love this. It's a metal water bottle. It says, do what you love. And I love this. So make sure you stay hydrated. That's so important when we're gardening as well. Really easy to lose track. And there's a saying that if you are thirsty, it means you're already starting to get dehydrated. So it's important to always stay hydrated to the point that you don't get thirsty. And if you're going to be drinking water, why not add some citrus in it? I always like to have a drop of citrus. Lemon is fantastic. Just 1 or 2 drops. If you want to boost your immune system, you can add some On Guard to your drinking water. Sip on it all day. Okay, I have a question here. Where do I find my zone? We have trouble with caterpillars sharing. Oh, yes, sharing our kale and lettuce. Some of my peonies have a problem with a failure to bloom. Okay, so those are all good questions. The peonies are probably buried too deep, Jackie. That's a problem that happens with a lot of people. And what you want to do is dig it out and then put it in so it's not quite so deep in the soil. That's the most common reason. Or if it's a brand new peony, sometimes they do take a season to bloom. I moved some peonies last year and I was a little bit worried that I'd put them in too deep, but it was just because they needed that year to grow. And as far as caterpillars, yes, I'm going to have some information about that. And where can you find your zone? If you just type in whatever search engine you use, we like using Start Page, just type in growing zone for Ypsilanti, Michigan, and it will tell you what growing zone you are. If you're 3, that's pretty darn cold. Okay, so let's see. So we've covered all the things. Now, a lot of people don't have too much trouble sleeping, but sometimes we get overtired, right? Has anybody ever been overtired? I know that it's easy just to go, 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 and then you get so tired it's hard to sleep. Serenity, our restful blend, is something that's really helpful for that, or lavender, but Serenity was made for helping you to get to sleep. And magnesium. Oh, I love using our Lifelong Vitality supplements, and I use oils to help me fall asleep, but a lot of times our bodies are depleted of magnesium, and I do supplement with extra magnesium. You can buy, in Canada, there's a product called Natural Calm. You can also buy magnesium in different forms, but ask about that. If you're having trouble, especially with twitching legs and stuff like that, muscles twitching, that's a shortage of magnesium in your body. Most people are deficient, and you need magnesium to get that vitamin D3 that's so important these days. So make sure you are getting extra magnesium, really important. Okay, so let's see what else. So let's talk about being outdoors. Now, right now, we did have a hot spell last week, but right now it's not too bad. But sometimes you do get hot in the garden, am I right? And one of the easiest things to do is to use peppermint or spearmint. And I actually have some in a bottle, and you can just put, 10 drops in a spray bottle, and you shake it up. Always, whenever you're putting essential oils and water together, you're going to need to shake them. You can put a little bit of fractionated coconut oil to help it blend. And when it's hot, one of the things I love doing is just spraying it on the back of my neck. Peppermint is so very cooling. It just smells nice and gives you extra focus when you're really tired. You can take a cloth and soak it in some cool water with a little bit of peppermint in it and just wear it around the back of your neck. That's another way of staying cool in the garden. But again, just making sure you stay hydrated is really important as well. Okay, so I'm guessing that a lot of people are looking for some remedies. I don't want to go too long today because I want to leave room for questions. So let me just check my list here about, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about lots of plants in a second, but I do also want to talk about the importance of keeping ourselves protected. We're going to be talking about protecting our plants, but doTERRA has a fantastic repellent blend called Terra Shield, and you can buy it. Oh, where did I put my other one now? Let me just grab one off the shelf. I had one right up behind me here. Oh, I do have lots of it. Of course, it's not handy right now, but Terra Shield comes. Darn it! I wanted to show it because I had it in a spray bottle. So Terra Shield can be purchased as a blend in a 15 ml. Darn it! I do want to find it now. I know I have some back here. All of my oils. So I don't know how you sort your oils, but mine usually go by alphabetical order. That's how I like to keep them. Oh, I wonder if I'm out here. Bear with me. I'm a little stubborn, so now that I've decided that I want to show you my Terra Shield. There we go. Okay, found it. So it does come in a 15 ml bottle. Thank you. This is going to be the nicest smelling insect repellent you've ever smelled. And it's because it has fantastic oils in it. And it's got a little bit of vanilla bean, so that does help. I'm just going to look up the actual ingredients in here. So Terra Shield is the repellent blend. It's got ylang ylang, tamanu, nootka and cedarwood. I mean, think about cedarwood chests. Those are great insect repellents. Catnip, lemon eucalyptus, litsea, and arbor vitae. And you can use this exactly as it is, with a little bit of fractionated coconut oil, and you can roll it on. I like to roll it in my hands and then kind of smear it on. I like to use this when we go hiking in the woods. Depending on what kind of insect pressure you have, this is often enough. So mosquitoes and black flies, things like that. If you're in an area where you're going to be getting a lot of insect pressure, you might want to beef it up. And that's what I often do. I will add different oils that are great at insect repellent. So lemon eucalyptus, geranium, peppermint, arbor vitae, or cedarwood. And I will add some to the oil blend before I make my spray. You can also buy the spray bottles. I think these are out of stock in Canada right now, but you can also just buy these spray bottles from doTERRA. They're just plastic, so these are great. I like to have them in my pocket when we're hiking, or you can throw them in your backpack. And then if you buy the doTERRA blend, you can always just refill this, and it's really handy. Certainly with little children, I have a thing about not spraying close to their eyes, and that's where I do like to have a roller, apply it in my hands, or put a few drops diluted in my hands, and then you can just put it on the back of their neck. You can spray their caps with it, their clothing, any of that kind of stuff, to keep it out of their eyes. And Terra Shield is, as I said, does work really, really well. But if you have a lot of pressure, like if, let's say it's black fly season, or if you're somewhere in a swampy area, you have a lot of insects, you might want to beef it up a little bit more. And of course, because it's a natural, it's not full of chemicals that are going to actually last longer on your skin, you will have to reapply it every couple of hours, or if you are sweating, for sure. Okay, so that is it for all the things to look after our own bodies when we're gardening. So let's just talk a little bit about the plants themselves. I learned something very interesting, and the doTERRA book, actually, if you have the, sorry, it's not a doTERRA book, if you have the Essential Life book, the hard copy, back around 425, page 425, I think, is where they have, this is actually a lot of information about gardening, so some of the recipes that I'm going to be sharing came from that. But one of the things that I learned was that 85% of all plant disease is fungal related, meaning they have a fungus. And that's very similar to our own bodies. There's a lot of people who believe that candida in our bodies is something that coexists with inflammation in our bodies. And candida is a fungal, is a yeast infection. And it's the same with plants. We are so similar to plants, which is why plant medicine works for both of us. So there's a great fungus spray. So blight, powdery mildew, roses often will get blight. Cucumbers sometimes do, or tomatoes sometimes do. I know our phlox plants. So powdery mildew often happens in areas where there's not enough airflow. If you have lots of airflow in your garden, so you won't get that happening as much. And certainly if you're in a drier climate. But if you do get a lot of humidity, there are some varieties of plants that are mildew resistant. But if you have some of the older varieties, they may be more prone to getting that white powdery mildew that it's called. And a great recipe for that is tea tree. Tea tree, as we know, Melaleuca, is fantastic. It's an amazing antifungal, and so is oregano. So in a 2-liter bottle, and there are lots of plastic bottles, and in this case, you can use a plastic bottle if you wish. You can get them at hardware stores, and you can mix up. In a 2-liter bottle, you're going to put 5 drops of tea tree oil and 1 drop of oregano oil, and you're going to add a little squirt of Castile soap. So many of you know about Dr. Bonner's Castile soap. It's a pure soap. A lot of people like to do their do-it-yourself cleaning products and soaps. If you don't have Castile soap, you can just use some laundry detergent. It does the same thing. And the reason that we use soap is soap is a surfactant. It's going to help those oils adhere to the leaves when you're spraying them on. And you're also going to put in 3 tablespoons of baking soda, and that's going to help deal with the fungus. If anybody's watching this, you don't have to take notes. I actually have this up in a document, and I'm more than happy to send you a copy if you ask for it. Just send me a message or put your name in the comments that you would like me to send this to you, so you don't have to write notes. But so it's the tea tree and oregano, a bit of soap, and baking soda. And it's very important when you're spraying your plants that you don't spray them during the height of the day when it's full sun. Essential oils can actually burn your leaves, and that goes for any kind of spray. If you're using any kind of gardening spray that you have in the past, whether it's organic or not, you can really do some damage to your plants if you do it during the heat of the day. So I always like to recommend doing it early in the morning or late in the evening. And again, if you have rain, you're going to, or if you're watering them from overhead, you're going to have to repeat as needed. So that's a great recipe. Killing weeds is something else that a lot of people are looking for. A lot of people already know that vinegar is great. You can buy horticultural vinegar. You can buy pickling vinegar that has a higher acidity that's going to be a little bit more effective than the regular vinegar that you're going to be putting, that you use in your kitchen on a regular basis. And again, this is in a large 2-liter bottle. You're going to have some white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, or as I said, you can buy horticultural grade vinegar. And you're going to put a squirt of that Castile soap, and then you're going to add 2 very hot oils, and that is clove. You're going to put 15 drops of clove and 10 drops of cinnamon. Now, cinnamon bark is fairly expensive, and I would wager that cassia, which is a distant cousin of cinnamon, a lot of times cinnamon sticks in the store are actually cassia bark, not cinnamon bark. So it's a lot less expensive. So if you're doing this, I would recommend using cassia instead of the cinnamon bark. And you're going to shake it before use, and you're going to spray this only on the weeds. So if you have weeds growing in amongst your paving stones and things like that, you're going to spray it on the weeds, as it will kill all the plants. And that's because of the vinegar. The vinegar is going to burn. Now, I recommend, this is something that you sometimes need to apply. So if it's very young weeds, that's the best time to kill them is when they're just starting to emerge. And in this case, you can do it during the heat of the day because you want those oils to really blast those weeds that you don't want there. And just keep at it until they're gone. Sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 applications. If you have pets, you will want to be careful. If they lick this, they may only do it once, but it's not going to hurt them other than being very sharp on their tongue. So make sure that if you are spraying this with these hot oils, it's not going to be somewhere where your cats are walking or where your dogs are laying. That's the only recommendation that I would make as well. You might just want to cover it up with a piece of cardboard afterwards so it'll dry. Insect deterrent spray. So I have 2 recipes here to share. And one of them is just very simple. It's peppermint, rosemary, and thyme. A drop each in a cup of water, and you can spray it early mornings or evening. You can spray this right on your plants. I don't usually spray my plants for insects. As I said, I've been gardening for a long time, and I took a horticultural design course with an amazing landscaper in Hockley Valley. And one of the things we learned is that if the plants are healthy, they're not going to be getting the insect damage. And healthy plants come from healthy soil, just like us. It's the nutrition that they get from the soil, just as the nutrition we get from our food. And if the soil is well balanced, has all the micronutrients in it, this is where composting and adding compost and manure really helps. As opposed to artificial fertilizers. Fertilizers are mined from the ground. Fertilizers are not all bad, but certainly composted manure and composted organic material is going to benefit your plants a lot more quickly. If you have good soil for your plants, if they're growing in conditions where they're getting enough water, they're getting the sunlight that they need, they're a lot less likely to get insect damage. So if you are getting a lot of insect damage, you might want to think about adding compost to your beds. A great plant pest control from the Essential Life book recipe is a large 16-ounce glass bottle. You're going to put 2 tablespoons of Castile soap. You're going to add 10 drops of peppermint, 10 drops of lavender, 5 drops of cedarwood, and 5 drops of lemongrass. And you combine all those, top it up with water, and you're going to spray it again early morning or in the evening after the sun has set to prevent burning. I had some tomato seedlings in the greenhouse, I think it was 2 years ago or last year. Something that I've never had before was starting to chew the leaves, and I was really surprised. Now, the plants had been through some stress at the greenhouse where I purchased them, so I think that's why the insects were eating them a little bit more. And I've heard several times and read over the years that if a plant is healthy, less likely to have insect damage. But if a plant is unhealthy, it's almost like a signal goes out to the insects that it's going to be easy pickings for them. So spraying this on, and I did use the cedarwood and lavender and peppermint, and that was quite beneficial. And I sprayed them probably every other day. Ants. Does anybody have ants? We have so many ant hills. They seem to come and go. In a dry year, there's a lot more ant hills. Peppermint is probably one of the best insect deterrents that I turn to. If I'm not sure what to use, I use peppermint. For ant spray, you can mix up a 4-ounce bottle, and I left my bottle downstairs. Oh, it would be about this size. This is a 4-ounce bottle, I believe. So you would add a 1/4 cup of witch hazel or coconut oil if you want, and 10 drops of peppermint oil. And spray all the ant trails and the areas that the ants have gone to. You can also take some cotton balls or cloth strips and soak them with a few drops of peppermint oil and leave that on the ant hill. And that will certainly deter them. Hopefully they don't set up home just 10 feet away, but that works. And the nice thing is, I mean, you can even use your cooling spray on the ant hills if you've got it out. That's the beautiful thing about our oils, that we can use them for so many things. Let's see, what else? So there are lots of different ways of using different oils for various pests. So peppermint is great for a lot of them. If you're not sure, again, just use peppermint. I'm going to go through a list here to give you an idea. So ants, peppermint and spearmint. Aphids don't like cedarwood, peppermint, or spearmint, cedarwood, peppermint, or spearmint. Aphids often we find on our house plants. You could mix this up and spray it in your house as well. I know, the, oh, good grief. Oh boy, talk about a brain fart. I can't think of it. Hibiscus, that's what I was thinking. I knew it started with an H. Hibiscus trees sometimes get those. For beetles, peppermint and thyme. Caterpillars, you can mix up a spray of spearmint and peppermint. Flies, lavender, peppermint, rosemary, sage. For mosquitoes, lavender, lemongrass, arborvitae. TerraShield is great. For moths, cedarwood, again, think of the cedarwood chests, and slugs and snails, cedarwood works great for all of those. For spiders, peppermint is the best. So if you have spiders in the summertime, especially if we have lights on, the spiders like to have their webs in around our house, outdoor lights and spraying peppermint spray actually onto the bricks of the house will keep the spiders, and you have to apply that once a week or so, or if you get rain. And that really does work at preventing the spiders from coming. Also, if you have spiders in the house or the little silver beetles, I think they're called the silverfish, you can just spray this along your boards. Peppermint is great for spiders. Sometimes you can also, if you want to, you can make an essential oil tea recipe. And this is something that you would use when you are watering your plants. So again, remember I talked about having that healthy soil is really important. And what's going to happen is as you water the plants are going to draw up this tea that you've made. And there's lots of different recipes. If anybody ever reads the Rodale's gardening book, it's an organic gardening reference. It's fantastic. Rodales, the Rodale's Guide. There's so many amazing tips there. But what you can do is make up a tea, and as the plants take up the water and the oils, it's going to be acting as a systemic and treating the whole plant. So it will come through the leaves, it will act as an insecticide, as a fungicide, all the things that we need it to be. And it's just a matter of taking 2 cups, and they talk about very hot water. Now, I've not made this recipe before, but 2 cups of very hot water, and you add 8 drops of essential oil to it. You allow it to cool, and then you dilute it. You will take a 1/4 cup of that and add it to a gallon or 4 liters of water, and you shake in water as usual. And the reason is you can have lots of different, you could put different oils in it depending on what you need. So if you need fungus control, you could use oregano there, or clove. Basil is something that basil is a great companion plant. If you plant it among your tomatoes, it really supports. But you can also make a spray or a tea with the basil, and that helps to enhance the nightshade family. So peppers and tomatoes really benefit from a spray of basil. So again, you can spray it with basil oil, or you can make a tea and water your tomato plants with that once a week. Also good for beans and broccoli and potatoes. So that's something new that I learned as well. Let's see, I'm just going to check the time quickly. Okay, yeah, so we've been going about a half hour here. So that's kind of it. I can certainly answer any questions you have. So let me just see if I answered, Jackie, your questions. Yes, so caterpillars, sharing your kale and lettuce. So kale, I find up here anyways, we get a lot of flea beetles. So anything in the anything in the cabbage family, broccoli, kale gets these tiny little black insects, and those are called flea beetles. And for that, lemongrass, peppermint would be really great. I like to start some of those plants indoors, and as they get to a larger size, and then transplanting them is one way you can help protect those delicate leaves. Certainly when plants are bigger, they're less likely to get chewed by the insects. I find as much the bunny rabbits get things as far as our lettuces and kales go. Let's see, what else? That's kind of it for now. Now, if for anybody who's watching that doesn't have a doTERRA account, all of the products that I mentioned can be purchased retail if you'd like, or you can put together, if you don't have an account yet, it's only $42 Canadian or 35 US, and you save 25% for a whole year. You don't have to buy every month. You don't have to buy a certain amount, but all of these products are available. And in fact, there's one kit called the, where did I write down the name of it? The Simple Solutions kit, and that has the Deep Blue Rub, and it has the Serenity oil, which is great for sleep. It's got lemon. Oh yeah, so lemon, that's another oil I was going to talk about. Lemon is another fantastic oil. Number one, it's detoxifying, it's cleansing, but I find sometimes I get sticky fingers, especially when you're picking up branches, and especially the evergreens, you're going to be getting that sticky, oh, you're in zone 6. Zone 6, okay. If you get anything sticky on your hands, lemon is amazing at cleaning that off, or any sticky residue on your tools, your secateurs. Again, any citrus oils that you're applying to your skin, you can certainly clean them, and then I would try to wash it off or apply some lotion. Citrus oils can be photosensitive for some people, but for cleaning gucky stuff off, it's great. Which also just reminded me of the importance of cleaning our tools. Tea tree oil, melaleuca. If you are cutting back diseased or infected or fungus coated leaves off of a plant, you want to make sure that you're cleaning whatever you cut with. Otherwise, you're going to be spreading that to your other plants. And mixing a tablespoon of tea tree oil in a cup of water, you can just spray your tools with that, brush them off, or you can just put a few drops of tea tree oil on. It's going to help disinfect your tools. Another thing that's really good is arborvitae, clove, cedarwood, and thyme. You can mix any of those up. 5 to 10 drops in a gallon of water are really good for supporting fungus and any kind of, it's a lot like our bodies, actually, the plants. There's so many different oils that we can use to help support them, but for fungus, think about all the hot oils. So clove and cinnamon are great for that. Tea tree oil is an incredible antifungal, and just mixing those up with water. If you're putting them in a spray, easy on the hot oils, 1 drop of oregano to 5 drops of tea tree oil. And make sure you spray them when it's not too hot outside. Wait before the sun comes out. Is it too late to trim roses? Heck no. I trim my plants all times of the year. Trimming roses is actually a good idea. Depending on the roses that you have, I don't have a lot of tea roses. I tend to grow the wild roses, the shrub roses, and I'm just trimming them right now, Jackie. So certainly go for it. A tip that I've learned, if you're trimming your roses, I don't know how much experience you have, but always trim them. When you have a cane like this, a rose cane, you'll notice that there are usually alternating little buds. So if this was coming out, let's say these are rose canes coming out, and there's a little bud here, and there's a little bud here, you want to trim them above a bud that's going to be sprouting a branch in the direction that you want to go. So you don't want to have branches coming into the inside of the plant. If you have a little bud here, a leaf bud, you're going to cut above that one as opposed to the one that's pointing to the inside. And you can basically shape all of your plants like that. The rule of thumb is if a plant blooms in the spring, you're not going to do any trimming until after they've bloomed. If they bloom midsummer, you wait until all the flowers have dropped off. If they're blooming later on in the season, you can certainly trim them now. And be patient. The weather changes, the growing conditions change from year to year. So yeah, this seems to be an early year for us up here. We'll see what happens. Yeah, thank you for hanging out. I love gardening. I'll take any gardening questions whenever you want. Let me just see what else I wanted to talk about. Oh, if you have pets that wander into your garden, this might be another good one. Rosemary. So you can plant rosemary plants, or make a spray of rosemary and spray it on the ground, or this is another great way. So I thought this is going to be what I'm going to use for making my sprays. This is available from the doTERRA website, and what I like about it is you don't have to keep pumping the way we do with these. And if you're using in your garden, you're going to go through a lot of these little ones. That's why a lot of the recipes were for 2-liter spray bottles. But this is a continuing mist. So if you are spraying plants, you can just shake it up. And this, I don't have anything in here, but you just hold it down and it lets off a continuous mist. So it's a lot easier to spray your plants. And always, always label. Just as I always tell you when you are making roller bottles, even though you think you're going to remember what's in there. For farming, rule of thumb, that's something Ralph taught me 35 years ago. Whenever you're mixing anything up that you're going to be spraying on plants, make sure you have it labeled. And it's as much a reminder of what your recipe was as making sure you don't grab the wrong bottle. You wouldn't want to be spraying that hot clove and cinnamon spray on your tomato plants, right? With the vinegar in it. Okay. Yeah, these mist bottles are amazing. I love them in the bathroom because they're great for disinfecting at the farm. We have one in the bathroom and I just keep changing them up. They're great for the any room sprays that you make up. But Natalie uses them when she makes up. And I think I'm going to have another class later for hiking and outdoor things like that. A lot of, I've actually had a friend over a couple days ago, maybe it was yesterday, who said they have already reported ticks. She and her husband both have seen ticks on them already. So tick season has started. Terra Shield is great. Again, you might want to beef it up with some lemon eucalyptus. I'll be sharing some recipes. Maybe I'll just do another video for outside, working outside, and some sprays for that. Yeah, that's about it. And yes, so that's why I was getting back to the spray bottle. When Natalie makes horse spray to keep the black flies and the big horse flies off of her horses, she loves using one of these, and she can just mist it and get the horses covered so they're not going to be... that's why they have tails to swish, but they don't have them around. They're constantly flicking their ears when the flies are landing on them. All right, so thank you for hanging out with me. Have a great afternoon. And if you have any questions or if you're watching the replay, let me know if you'd like to get the, yes, ticks already. Let me know if you'd like to get the handout. You're going to have to make a comment and I'll send it to you. Jackie, I'll do it already. I know you want one. Okay, have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon.